Hello and welcome to DreamSpace Live, celebrating Engineers Week 2024. My name is Michael. I'm one of the teachers on the Microsoft Ireland DreamSpace team. I'm going to be leading this session with you today, folks. You're very welcome in as we stream live from one Microsoft place in Leopardstown in Dublin. However, I'm not on my own for today's session. I'm also joined by my amazing colleague, Corey from the DreamSpace team. Hello, Corey.
Hello. Hey, everyone. I am so excited. So as Michael said, my name is Corey and I am also a teacher on the DreamSpace team. And I am so excited to talk all things Engineers Week today.
I think Engineers Week is definitely by far one of my most favorite
Same.
weeks of celebration in the school every single year. It's really, really cool, really awesome, and we're going to be delving into it today, folks. So we want to hear from you. So throughout today's session, if you're joining us live, you can use the Q&A. Corey's going to be keeping an eye on that throughout the entire session.
Yep.
Answering your questions, asking you questions, and even giving some shout outs as well. We do love a good shout out.
It's already popping off. I'm struggling to keep up here with everyone saying hello.
If you're watching on demand, folks, which is amazing as well, be sure to use hashtag MSDreamSpace to let us know how you're getting on, how you're enjoying it, or even answering some of our questions after the fact as well. So, Corey, are you ready to kick today's live event off as we look at what we're going to be learning?
Absolutely. Let's get started.
So, first and foremost, Corey, what are we going to be doing?
Well, we actually need to understand, what is Engineers Week and what's the whole purpose of it? We've said it a few times already now when we've just started. So we're going to kind of dive into that a little bit more.
Yeah, I wonder if people are asking themselves, why do engineers have a whole week dedicated to them? Don't worry, all right? It's well deserved because we are going to be exploring the amazing world of engineering today as well. So the impact it has on our daily life and just how various the roles are within the world of engineering, okay? Because we're going to bust some myths when it comes to that as well.
Which is so important.
It's so
I love it, a myth buster, to be honest.
A really exciting aspect of today's live event, Corey, as well is...
Yeah, we're actually going to meet a Microsoft engineer. She's going to come in and tell us all about what it's like to be an engineer here at Microsoft, and we'll just kind of get like a bit of an idea what the day-to-day kind of role looks like, I suppose.
Yeah, 100%. So we're going to be answering all your questions, folks, about what it's like to be an engineer, what it's like to work for Microsoft Ireland, or anything as well that pops into mind. Because we're going to have a little bit of an interview period there as well to kick off Engineers Week as well, okay? And last but not least, okay, it's not all just answering questions, getting involved in discussions. We do love a good discussion, right? Classroom-based discussion. We are going to get hands-on with a microbit engineering project as well, all right? So this one's going to be really cool. This one's going to be data-driven, Corey, okay? So if you're saying to yourselves right now, but we don't really know what data is, don't worry,
That's
fine. We're going to catch you up. We're going to let you know exactly what data is and why it's so important. But we're going to be looking at a data-driven project using the microbit simulator, okay? So hopefully everyone is prepped and ready to go for that as well. And we are going to become our very own engineers later on as well, because we're going to use that data and that program to actually make some classroom-based decisions.
Ooh,
It's going to be really cool, some really interesting ones.
I'm intrigued.
So, first and foremost, Engineers Week.
Yes.
What is it all about, right? Engineers Week is an annual celebration run by the amazing team Steps Engineers Ireland, okay? They have so much cool resources, amazing stuff. Be sure to use hashtag Steps Engineers Week if you're getting involved today as well, folks. But they do this annual celebration, okay? And it's all about celebrating the amazing work that engineers do, but it's also used to promote engineering as a career and highlight its importance to society. Because you're going to see in just a little while, engineers play a pivotal part in our day-to-day lives, doesn't it?
Exactly. And then even talking about that, engineering in our everyday lives, like, I think even before I learned about engineering what it was, I didn't realize how much we actually use it in our everyday life. It literally shapes our world. It's all about problem solving, thinking creatively, and it improves the quality, it improves the comfort of our daily lives.
So we've said it a lot, right? We've said Engineers Week, we've said engineering. You might still be there scratching your head thinking, what exactly even is an engineer?
Yeah.
Well, an engineer is a professional, right, who applies scientific knowledge, mathematics, and ingenuity to develop solutions for technical, societal, and commercial problems, right? So that's some high-level language there.
We're going to dive into
that
a little bit more, aren't we?
So, ingenuity, Corey, what's that all about?
Ingenuity to me feels like creativity, solving problems, coming up with ideas.
100%, and that's exactly what an engineer is, right? So you can nearly label an engineer as just a problem solver, okay? So if you like solving problems, you yourself are an engineer, okay? But they work in various fields, right? And they work in diverse roles. And that's going to lead us on to our final point for this piece. It is busting a myth.
Exactly.
About what it means to be an engineer. Now, Corey, if you went back in time,
Yeah.
okay, and you met a 12-year-old Michael and you asked him, what exactly is an engineer? My response would be, first off, that's crazy, you're a time traveler. And secondly, I would be saying, oh, engineers, what are they? They're the ones who build bridges and something like that, right? But would I be correct in saying that?
No, it's a lot more. Like, as in, they do that. You
Yeah.
are correct, but it spans across way more as well.
100%. So a common misconception is that engineers only work in construction or mechanics. That's definitely what I thought when I was a little bit
Same.
younger.
I was more thinking the mechanics. So you were like construction. I thought mechanics.
Yeah. So when in reality, the field spans a diverse range of sectors, including technology, medicine, and environmental science as well. And actually, Corey, just to lead off of that, right, and keep going on that, let's take a deep dive into the amazing, diverse world of engineering.
Yeah, I love this because I just feel like you said, when we were younger, I had an idea of what it was. And when I learned about all these other types of engineers, I was like astounded. Even like aerospace engineers, like I love everything to do with space. And I didn't know you could be like an astronaut that was an engineer. Like I didn't know these things.
So you are actually spot on, right? So you could be an astronaut who's an engineer, or you could be a civil engineer, okay? So civil engineers, they are essentially the superheroes of building and fixing things that we use every single day, right? So like bridges, roads, and buildings, they make sure these structures are safe and strong. And I think this is an important one because I think this is the first one we probably think of when we think of engineering, and it is a fantastic and a really important role as well, okay? So anytime you're driving over a bridge and you're thinking, how can this support a massive truck or a bus and so on like that, that's down to the amazing civil engineer that designed and built it.
I always think that.
Our next one, Corey,
is mechanical engineering. And basically, this is being able to invent like robots and design cars. That's what basically mechanical engineers do. So they use their knowledge of how things move, and then they work on that to create all sorts of machines and gadgets. So as we said, from cars to robots, they kind of use like physics and creativity to come up and solve problems.
Yeah, exactly, right? So mechanical engineer, really, really cool. If you like building robots, you might become a mechanical engineer.
There you go.
And I love robots. Who doesn't love robots?
Oh, I love a robot.
Third of all, we then have an electrical engineer, right? So these are the wizards behind all things electronic. They figure out how to make and improve gadgets and systems that use electricity, okay? So when you think of electricity, anything that works with wiring and so on, that's an electrical engineer at work. And they make our lives brighter, Corey.
You love a fun. You love a fun.
Do you like that? Do you like that?
Yeah.
So that's an electrical engineer, right? So you can also see as well, Corey, straight off the bat, those first three, they probably all work together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Civil engineers building structures, mechanical engineers working at, say, the gear aspect of things, electrical engineers then looking at the wiring and so on. So they all kind of work together, and that's really what engineering is all about, okay? Working with different groups of people as well to come up with one specific solution. Now, the next one, Corey, is really interesting. One I wouldn't have thought about when I was younger.
Absolutely not. I never thought about this. So chemical engineers. And these are basically engineers that make different ingredients together to make new products like medicines, fuels, cosmetics, while working to ensure that these are safe and eco-friendly as well.
That's really important as well, right? We were talking earlier on about how engineers also kind of come up with sustainable solutions as well. So Corey, what does sustainability kind of mean to you?
Sustainability basically means to me using the resources that we have now and trying making them more sustainable so we don't need to keep using more.
Exactly, right? 100%. And making sure that future generations can have their needs met as well. And that's exactly what engineers have to keep in mind as well right now, because it's super important to do so, okay? We then have a really interesting one, right? This next one is a biomedical engineer.
This is so cool.
So take medicine, take engineering, combine them, and what you get is a biomedical engineer, okay? So they work to keep people healthy. These engineers design cool medical devices like artificial limbs and machines that help doctors diagnose illnesses, okay? So that actually maybe even broadens your horizon when it comes to healthcare. You probably think of healthcare and you think of doctors and nurses, which are so important. But there's also biomedical engineers at work as well, building the machines and building a lot of the aspects that actually help doctors and nurses and healthcare professionals as well to work. Pretty interesting.
So cool.
Now this last one, Corey, is one you are yourself as well, right? One we probably are most familiar with here in Microsoft Ireland, and one is going to be a kind of a core component for the rest of today's event. That last one is Software engineer.
Yeah, and basically these are the people that create the apps. So think about like all the games that you love, like all the software that's behind that. The software engineers write that code, and that code tells the computer like what to do, and it opens up a world where data and access are limitless.
Ooh, hint, hint at our project for later on when it comes to data.
To play later.
So that is the diverse world of engineering. Hopefully that kind of opens everybody's eyes to what it means to be an engineer and broaden your horizon a small bit when it comes to that point. Okay, so our next piece, folks, that we're going to move into is a really exciting part, and I think it's going to be the most impactful part of today's event. Corey, we're actually going to be chatting to a Microsoft Ireland engineer.
I know, how lucky.
Really cool, right?
Yeah.
So in a few moments, folks, we're going to meet Minnie Kaushik. Minnie Kaushik is a cloud solution architect that the DreamSpace team work with here in Microsoft Ireland. She's amazing, and in the lead up to today's event, Corey, I was chatting to her. I was getting to know her a small bit more. I was asking her what her roles, her responsibility, and what it's like to be an engineer here. And she shared with us a couple of points. Okay, so initially she said, I help my customers with Power Platform adoption and upscale them with new product features and remove any technical blockers while they're using their product. And I said, Minnie, wow, that sounds amazing. Right? First off, though, explain it to me in simpler terms.
Please. Yeah.
So she said, okay. So to understand my role in simple terms, I am a teacher who helps my students, in this case customers, learn about new technology and helps them by providing solutions to their problems if they get stuck anywhere. Sometimes I write code and run through to show how things can be done. Instantly, I was like, that's class. We love teachers here. So that's amazing. So that's kind of an overview, folks. So what we're going to do is we're going to pause and give you an opportunity to submit questions for Minnie that we're going to ask. Now, these questions can relate to literally anything you see on your screen right now, what it's like to be an engineer, the career path that took her to actually working in Microsoft Ireland.
What made her want to be an engineer? What does the day-to-day look like?
Oh, the day-to-day is really, really cool, and really exciting part of it. And we're going to pause, folks, and give you that opportunity. You can either submit it in our Q&A if you're joining us live, or if you're watching back on demand, use hashtag MSDreamSpace to submit those questions. We'll be sure to come back to you on that as well. So we're going to pause, folks, and give you the opportunity to submit your questions now. Okay, everybody, wow, some amazing questions coming into that Q&A, and I am so happy to introduce our guest for today, Minnie Kaushik. Minnie, how's it going?
Yeah, it's good. I'm happy to know that we have a good morning, right? A great morning is going on with the kids.
We've been exploring the diverse world of engineering. We've looked at all the different aspects of it. We even as well looked at Engineers Week, what it's all about, what it's hoping to achieve. And I think right now, our little bit of a brief chat is going to achieve one of the biggest parts what Engineers Week is all about, getting to know engineers, seeing what their jobs are like, and so on. So Minnie, you're very welcome to DreamSpace Live.
Thank you.
Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself? Introduce yourself.
Sure. So, hi everyone. I'm Minnie Kaushik, and previously a software engineer. I'm a cloud solution architect. Now at Microsoft, I live in Dublin with my husband and a 14-year-old son. Many of you may be going to be in secondary soon, and then yes, I love to read. I love to. Sorry, I missed that. I'm originally from India. I'm not a Dubliner, but yeah, it's been 8 years for me in Dublin, and I really love to read on inspiring books. Love to read on autobiographies. And I love music. I love to play in snow as well.
That's a great one. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that, especially with our recent snow.
Yeah. I'm the one, to be honest. And that's me pretty much.
Excellent. Very good, Minnie. So let's get stuck right into it. So we are celebrating engineers today, and we're going to celebrate yourself as well. So can you talk us a little bit about when you chose to become an engineer and what it's like to be a software engineer?
Okay, so I started, to be honest, thinking about it when I was in 8th grade or so, because it's like in our junior cert back in India, we have to think about the subjects and everything. And I know I'm not a person who was a dreamy person. I'm like more, I reassessed myself what kind of a person I am. And I realized that I'm a more logical and analytical skills, and I love problem solving, and I was very good at maths, to be honest. So it was like my target used to be like 100%, 100%, and so, but it's not the position. The things are changed now. To be honest, you don't have to be if you are a problem solver, so you can go with that definitely. But yes, for me it was like that, and then I chose my subjects like science and maths for that to go and choose that path.
Interesting, very
Towards-
good.
yeah.
And talking about that path, when you went from primary school and then secondary school, you kind of started to think about, oh, I like problem solving, you like mathematics. I'm sure some people are maybe in your shoes as well, love
Yeah.
getting that 100% and so on.
Yeah.
However, how did you then proceed into that? What did you study maybe in college or in third level?
Sorry.
What did you study then? What was your degree? Your
Oh,
undergrad?
okay. Yeah. What did I studied? I actually, when I started doing my college. So that time the computers evolved and, started coming as a subject over there. And that intrigued my interest into computers. So then I did my bachelor's in computers science,
Very
and
good.
then did I master's in computer science to get that part of computer engineering, to be honest. And
Excellent.
I really love that, to be honest.
Very cool. And you went then from that, obviously you became a software engineer. How long have you been part of Microsoft Ireland?
It's been 2 years now for me,
Excellent.
yeah,
Right, very
and
good.
it's to be honest, it's a wonderful journey till now, yeah, yeah.
I'm sure a lot of people are thinking to themselves, they see the cloud solution architect.
Yeah.
So your role isn't specifically a software engineer. So what is it like to be a cloud solution architect?
So cloud solution architect is, you can think as in you all are in school, right? So it's like a teacher, right? So I'm like a teacher to my customers or clients, where I upskill them about the product. So I specifically work on Power Platform. So I helped my customers to understand about the product, what it is, how they can learn about this product, and I actually help them to even code into this product.
Cool.
Yes.
So that's a good mix, right? So
Yeah, it's a good mix of
yeah.
teaching plus software engineering.
Love it. And
Yeah.
do you like that kind of that relationship and talking to people and talking
Yeah,
to your customers and
definitely. I
teaching?
really love them. I really love that. And to be honest, my best day is like when I help them to, overcome something.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of the teachers joining us as well can
Yeah,
agree with you on
yeah.
that. Helping people overcome that problems is a big part of it.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
really cool. So do you want to talk us a little bit about what's a day in the life of a cloud solution architect?
Yeah, so for a cloud solution architect, it's like more, so yes, I come to my work, I open my laptop. So typically if I have a customer, right, on that day, so it's not that daily you have customer calls. So typical day is like when you have a customer call, you have to interact with your customer. So then there we start understanding your problem. So again, I think another thing is listening skills, which I would say is a must for this role. So you need to understand what they want to achieve with their business and all the goals, right? Like a teacher, I listen to them very carefully, and then I help them to give a solution.
Yeah.
So that is a typical day, and and another part of it is if they don't know something, then I like teach them,
Yeah.
onto that subject, and it could take a day long, basically, onto the same subject.
Yeah, but focusing on it.
Yeah, the folks will be there. Yes,
Very
definitely.
good stuff.
Yeah.
And would that be a typical day? Would that also be your favorite kind of day, or is there a favorite day in the life of a software engineer or a cloud solution architect?
To be honest, that is my favorite day. To be with my customer all day and, help them understand the product and, teach them, upskill them about what they are doing, what they want to achieve. Sometimes there are times when they are stuck with a problem.
Yeah.
They are developing applications with this product, right? And then, we just get into the call and we find a solution for them.
Nice.
So I think that is the best part of the day.
So again, it kind of comes back to what we were talking about earlier on, folks, when myself and Corey were talking about what it means to be an engineer, and it really just comes down to being a problem solver.
Problem solver,
Yeah.
right? Definitely. Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
So back to your title, Cloud Solution Architect. I'm sure a lot of people join us are like, clouds, like the clouds you see up in the sky?
Yeah, definitely. But this is not that cloud, to be sure. So this is something you can think now. I think everyone, all the kids are using their iPads, right?
Yeah.
You must be storing files in your iPads, right? So cloud is something when you're not storing your files in your iPad, but you are storing in a different machine, in a different laptop, not laptop, I would say machine. And that machine, say, belongs to Microsoft. So that machine which belongs to Microsoft is called cloud because that is not yours.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so
And it's a huge storage.
It is huge storage.
Yeah.
You can think of your bedroom or maybe bigger than that, to be honest. Yes.
Yeah.
It has loads of machines where your data will go and get stored. The good thing is everyone can utilize it. So and the less cost you have to pay. So that's why it is called cloud. So which you can
Interesting.
access but can't have at your place.
Yeah,
Yes.
no, I get you. Yeah, and I think a lot of the time when we're talking to students about cloud, it's kind of you run into those issues where you maybe have to delete things off your
Yeah,
off
exactly.
your phone or your app or your game console, and
Yeah.
you think, oh no, I don't have any space for this. Cloud a lot of the times is a solution to that, right?
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
can
yeah.
save it online, you can access it anywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's really interesting.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'd say a lot of people are using cloud every single day and they're not
Yes,
aware
and
of it.
they might not know it.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that could be the case. Yeah, your OneDrive, I don't know how
Yeah.
many kids if they are aware of it. So your OneDrive, it's like it is on cloud nowadays. So your Google Drive where you are storing your photos. So
Yeah.
they are all kind of clouds.
Cloud
Yeah,
aspect. Very
aspects,
cool.
yeah.
Very cool. Okay, folks. Wow, amazing questions coming into the Q&A. Where I think we're even going to have to do some rapid fire
Yeah.
Q&A to cover as many as we can. So,
Yeah.
great question coming in. Back in school, Minnie, what was your favorite subjects?
Science and maths.
Science and maths. Excellent. So everyone joining us here today, science and maths, if those are your favorites, career engineering might
Yeah.
be a pathway for you.
Yeah.
Did you always want to be an engineer?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing. Very good. Can you think of your first time you thought to yourself, I want to be an engineer?
As I mentioned actually before, my analytical, logical, and problem-solving skills eventually, led me to that path because that is what I think eventually I can do in the whole world,
That's really
despite other
interesting.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, so if anyone's kind of joining us and they really get a good kick out of those eureka moments when you solve something,
Yeah.
could be-
When you have that feeling, okay, am I good at analyzing something?
Yeah, yeah.
Am I good at, even though it's a small thing at home, which you are giving a solution to, you're a problem solver. It's not necessarily right that you have to be good in maths, right? Okay, if I'm getting 100%,
Yeah.
but if at home, say there is a bike, which doesn't work and you made it well, you made it up, you are a problem. You
Yeah.
have solved a problem, right, for someone.
Yeah.
So that's how you have to think and analyze what capabilities you have.
I think that's a really good one. It's something we think about quite a lot in DreamSpace as well. If you're going to go into the world of STEM, so science, technology, engineering, and maths, it's not just being good at school. It's not just being good at specific
Exactly.
subjects at school.
Yeah.
If you are very good at problem solving, whether it's fixing bikes or fixing skateboards and those kind of things, or if you're developing your own maybe apps at home or
Right.
games at home, that kind
Right.
of stuff, and solving those problems, that's all problem solving.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So really cool. A couple other questions. This is a good one. Maybe a little bit of an existential one for you. What's your goals for the future, Minnie?
My goal for the future, to be honest, is like I love to talk and present and communicate to the people.
Nice, very good.
So I don't know, somewhere I want to see talking myself in TEDx.
That's great. A
Yeah.
TED Talk would be amazing.
Yeah,
Right? Be
so-
sure to give DreamSpace Live a good shout out when you're
Yeah,
doing
yeah, definitely.
excellent.
Yeah.
One thing here as well is, what is your favorite thing to do in your job?
My favorite thing to do in my job, to be honest, is to help my customers and to, again, the problem solving.
Nice, very
When
good.
I really help them to come over something, that's my best day,
Nice,
And
okay.
they say, we are glad, we are able to do this, and that makes my day.
That's lovely. That's great stuff.
Yeah.
A really good one, a really important one. Have you ever accidentally deleted your work?
That's the good one. Actually, there are many things. You have to be really cautious when you're dealing with the project files. I have seen, not me, but I have seen like people sometimes delete it, but we always have a backup of things.
No, okay.
So, yeah.
Have your backups.
You will have your backups.
Whether you're saving locally on the cloud, have your backups.
Have your backups. Yeah.
Oh, good one. You were talking about how important your job is when it comes to looking after the cloud and so on. A good question came in there related to the safety of it. So maybe if someone had maybe access to the cloud falling into the wrong hands, the danger aspect of that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, that is the most important aspect. Even as engineers, we are doing our jobs in Microsoft and using loads of applications within Microsoft. So we have been given trainings on security and privacy.
Yep, same as,
How
yeah,
to,
yeah.
yeah, so how to deal with the sensitive stuff and applications. And there are like compliance things which you need to abide by. And another thing is like obviously cybersecurity. Our team is there, right, to
Yeah.
handle those things. If anything goes wrong, we have some links where you can go and report it,
Yeah.
right? So,
And it's actually it's a really the way we approach it here is it's exactly how everybody should be approaching it in classroom as
Actually,
well.
yeah,
If you
exactly.
ever run into any kind of cybersecurity risk, if you're fearful of a virus or maybe some of your information has been shared, just
Yeah.
talk to somebody you trust, whether
Yeah.
that's a trusted
let
adult,
adults,
parent,
let your
teacher.
parents, teachers
Yeah.
know immediately about
Yeah,
that,
and they'll help you out.
yeah, they will help you out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Good question coming in. Who is the best engineer in the world apart from Emily Kaushik, of course?
Who is the best engineer? I would say, I think, if you have heard it or not, he's my ideal as well. APJ Abdul Kalam.
Okay.
He was an Indian. He was an aeronautical engineer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
So many good things you can learn from him. Now he's no more, but right.
yeah.
But a lot of great things.
Aeronautical engineer.
Yeah,
Really cool. So
yeah,
again, another just aspect of how diverse engineering
how
can be.
diverse engineering is. Yes.
Really cool.
Yes.
Two final questions for you, Minnie, before we say goodbye. How often per week do you spend writing code?
So it depends on the requirements which came to me. To be honest, currently now in the role of a cloud solution architect, but as a software engineer, to be honest, I used to write like 8 hours or so, and sometimes maybe more when when we have to release the code as an application to our
Yeah.
customers. So that time, but now it has a bit less for me because my role is a bit changed. It's like a hybrid of support plus software
Okay, yeah.
engineering.
Nice.
So it's like, I would say, and because my technology is low code,
Yeah.
right? So it is, I generally like tend to spend like 4 or 5 hours, not more than that.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
And it varies, I suppose.
Yeah, it varies.
Time-wise, what you're
Time,
working on at the moment.
requirement, and it depends on many things. Yeah.
Really important one. We get asked it all the time, and not to put you on the spot. Is a cloud solution architect or is a software engineer? Is it a well-paid job?
Yes, definitely. Go for it.
It's a good question, right? And it's an important question.
Yeah, they are well-paid jobs. I would say it's like now been 15 years for me to be in IT, to be honest.
Yeah.
So it's that time itself, according to the environment, they were well-paid jobs, and now they are extremely well-paid. I would say.
Yeah, and I think honestly, I think that's keeping that way.
Yeah.
So before we say goodbye, Minnie, and first off, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone got
thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Hopefully everyone got a lot of their questions answered there about what it's like to actually be an engineer in Microsoft Ireland and the day-to-day life of it. But before we say goodbye, do you want to see what everybody's going to be working on for their last piece of today's session?
Yes, definitely. I would love to.
So, Minnie, you are a cloud solution architect. However, everyone joining us is going to be becoming a class solution architect. Okay?
Perfect. That's great.
So what we're going to be doing today, folks, for the rest of this session is we're going to be creating a coding project that will allow us to vote on various issues within the classroom and make decisions based on collected data. Now, does this happen quite a lot in your role as well, Minnie? Do you collect information and data and decide things based on that?
Yeah, definitely. Our whole thing works around data. Yeah. So it's very important to understand what kind of data you want to manipulate, and then based on that we write our requirements, and then obviously based on that we develop our applications. That's how it works.
Yeah, very cool. And again, this is kind of just reconfirming to you all, folks, that a lot of the time when you're making those decisions and making big decisions, small decisions, make sure you have a little bit of information, a little bit of data to back it up. Make sure you're making the right
Exactly.
one,
Exactly. Yes.
So a little bit more about what we want you guys to work on before we get coding, folks, is we want you to identify some issues for voting, okay? So what daily class decisions could benefit from a group vote, okay? So write down as many as you can think of. We're going to give you opportunity to pause and actually do this, folks. But to start you off and to kick you off, a couple examples, okay? First off, maybe sometimes your teacher asks you to work, whether it's a geography lesson, history lesson, and so on, Do you want to work individually or do you want to work in pair work? You get to decide, all right? And you get to do a little bit of a vote on this, okay? What about you, Minnie? Would you prefer individual work or pair work?
I prefer pair work because teamwork is always great.
Teamwork makes the dream work.
Yeah, teamwork makes the dream. That's absolutely right.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
I think that's really important as well for going into the world of engineering as well.
Yeah,
Collaboration, working
collaborate
together.
and work together. You will get to know other people's idea, you know, sharing, and you will know how people are thinking,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So that really makes, you know, a good thinker as well, to be honest. I have learned a lot being part of different teams. So I would definitely go with pair work.
Now, this one might not come as part of your job.
Yeah, I know.
But the other class decision could be maybe your teacher poses you with the task of, okay, do you want no homework for the weekend or do you want a class party on Friday as a reward because you've been very good, okay? So you have to decide on that. Which one would you pick, no homework or class party?
Class party.
And then last but not least, maybe potentially you're going out for PE and your teacher asks you, do you guys want to play football or do you want to play basketball, right? This could be a good opportunity to collect some data and information on what people vote on in your class. You get to decide what you'd like. So what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to pause, give you guys the opportunity to complete that first task, is just writing down as many classroom decisions you make on a day-to-day basis. Make sure you make it as unique to your very own classroom as possible. And myself and Corey are going to check those out either through the Q&A or by checking out hashtag MSDreamSpace if you're watching this back on demand. And we're going to give you the opportunity to do so now. Minnie, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
I will chat to you again soon.
Yeah,
okay?
sure.
So folks, we're going to pause now and give you the opportunity to complete the task you see on your screen. Okay, folks, so Corey's back to us. And we have seen amazing responses in the Q&A. So do you want to call out a few of the ones coming from the Q&A? And I think we were chatting to Minnie before she just popped off as well about a great question that came in for the interview piece.
Yeah, exactly. So a question came in there and it was all about girls and females in engineering. And at Microsoft, do we have girls that are engineers or what is the team ratio like? So I was chatting to Minnie there just before she popped off and she said that, yes, we have lots of female engineers in Microsoft. We're really passionate about our female engineers and all of our engineers teams, they strive to have 50-50 balance, so 50% boys, 50% girls.
Excellent, amazing. And some fantastic kind of suggestions coming in here for the daily classroom decisions.
Yeah, so what order to do the subjects in a
that's
day?
a good one, very good one.
Yeah, making a choice for a class reward.
Nice, good stuff, yeah, very
Vote
good.
on what the class will watch during lunchtime.
I think that's a good one, especially if it's raining outside, you pop on a
Or
TV
snowing.
show, movie, or snowing, and you have to decide what you're going to be working on for the rest of the day. Excellent, so great stuff. Keep them coming, folks, in the Q&A or by using hashtag MSDreamSpace. If you're enjoying today's session as well, folks, be sure to let Engineers Ireland know by using hashtag StepsEngineersWeek. So, Corey, I know you were watching, keeping an eye on the Q&A,
Yes.
but did you hear all about what we're going to be working on for our coding project?
I did, and I'm excited.
So we're going to become class solution architects, and what you can see behind us right now is our finalized code for that project. So don't worry, we'll give you a step-by-step guide of how to complete it and how you can do it yourselves with the devices that you're working on. However, at any point throughout today's session, you want to check back on this finalized code, or potentially you will have to leave a little bit early, or maybe you want to share the code with your students, you can go to aka.ms/classvote to find that completed coded work. You can actually share out that code as well.
Brilliant.
Okay?
Yeah.
So before we jump over to actually placing the blocks of code that we're going to be doing today, folks, there's 3 core concepts we have to look at. And the first one's a really important one, and we talked about it very briefly with Minnie there a moment ago. The first one, Corey, is data. So what is data?
So data is basically a collection of information, isn't it? And that information could come in loads of different ways. It can be statistics, it can be facts, it can be numbers, it can be results.
Exactly, right? And in this instance, it could be the number of people who wanted to do watch SpongeBob for lunchtime, all right?
Yeah.
And so on, okay? So that's the data we're going to be collecting in this project. The next one, folks, the coding concept is variables, okay? Now, if you've never done coding before, folks, it is the language we use to communicate with computers and give them instructions how to complete tasks for us.
Exactly.
A lot of the time when we're writing those instructions, we have to store information or store data, like we just talked about. And we use variables to do so.
Yeah.
So think of them as empty boxes that we put a label on and give a name to. and we can reuse, update, put more things into it, take stuff out of it, and so
Yeah,
on.
and I feel like concepts like this become a lot more clear when we're actually hands-on doing the coding. So
100%.
they'll make more sense.
And that's actually a perfect kind of lead into our final concept of the day, which is conditionals.
Conditionals, yeah, and conditionals are basically a way in which a computer can make a decision, isn't it? So as humans, we make decisions every day. We'll say, oh, if I'm hungry at 12 o'clock, then I'll eat lunch.
Yeah.
But for a computer, we need to program that. So we need to tell the computer, if something happens, then do this. So if I press a button on my phone, then the app will open.
Exactly, 100%. So what we're going to do, folks, now is we're going to give you the opportunity to go to makecode.microbit.org. We'll pop it into the Q&A now or the description of this video on demand. You can head on over there now. We're going to pause and give you a couple moments to do so. And when you're there, you can just stop. Myself and Corey will then give you a step-by-step guide how to become a class solution architect.
Okay, brilliant, everyone. So hopefully we're all able to get up and running. But if you are looking for that link, it is makecode.microbit.org.
So let's get going with our step-by-step guide of how to become a class solution architect. So what we're looking at right now, folks, is MakeCode from Microbit. It's a free coding platform that requires no sign-up, no sign-in, and it's completely free. And It's all browser-based, which is amazing. So hopefully everyone has that open now on their devices. If you've never seen this website before, if you've never done coding before, don't worry. Follow along with myself and Corey. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on New Project just here. Now, I'm going to name my project Eng Week 2024. Any guesses for what I named it that? Don't dwell too long on what you're naming your project. It can be literally anything, okay? You're then going to be welcomed into this screen, folks. So right now I refresh my page and refresh my MakeCode website. So it's bringing me through a brief tutorial and tour of what we're looking at. And for anyone new, might be actually beneficial to quickly walk through this.
Handy.
So over here on the left, we have the Microbit simulator. This simulator allows us to run all of our code without having access to any other devices. So if you're thinking to yourself, oh no, we don't have the Microbits, don't worry. You can run all of your code and become a class solution architect using the Microbit simulator. It works similar to a video. You can hit start and stop just at the bottom there. Next of all, we have our toolbox. Do you want to tell us about our toolbox, Corey?
Yeah, so our toolbox is basically where all of our code sits. So if we go through all here, we can see we have a basic, we have input, we have music, and that means anything to do with those categories are going to be within those code blocks.
Exactly. Next of all, we have our workspace. So we're going to be working with block-based coding today, folks. Block-based coding kind of fits together like Lego. They're all color coordinated. We're actually going to be placing them on this workspace. They snap together, okay? If you want to share your project later on, you can actually share it with us in the Q&A later. Or if you want to share it with your teacher or your adult at home, you can actually click that share link. It creates a unique URL that you can share. Then last but not least, at any point you want to download your code and you do have access to physical microbits, you can download it down here. And we have our very own little congratulations and confetti. Excellent.
That's so cute. I love that.
So first thing we're going to do, folks, is we are going to walk you through how to set up collecting data with your microbit. Now, this is actually a little bit of an advanced technique for our microbit, okay? It's going to be pretty cool, but follow along with me, folks. The first category we're going to click on is extensions, Corey. When we're in extensions, we're going to click this one that says Data Logger.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
This allows our microbit to collect data and store it in different columns, okay? So that actually introduces a brand new category for us, Data Logger, okay? It's pretty cool. The first thing we want to do is on start, we want to decide what data are we collecting and what are we voting on, okay? So everybody's probably deciding on classroom activities, and we want you to customize this and do your own categories and columns. But what myself and Corey are going to do is we're going to try and settle the age-old debate of tea versus coffee, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to go into Data Logger, and we're going to actually scroll on down a small bit, and we are going to say Set Columns just here. Okay,
perfect.
so set column. So the first thing we need to do, I'm going to drag that block out. I'm going to place it just there. Now, that block has gone all yellow and gray on us, Corey. It's not looking quite right.
No.
What's gone wrong, do you
It
think?
means there's a bug in the code. And the thing is with code, we make bugs are basically mistakes. They're errors, but we make bugs all the time in coding. And that's why Minnie was talking about problem solving a lot, because with code, we have to problem solve, we have to fix our mistakes.
100%.
So we have a mistake here. And if I remember you saying, we're using block-based coding, which is like Lego, and they all have to slot together. So I think we need to put that block into one of our C-shaped blocks.
Exactly. And we want this to do it at the very start. So we're going to do it on start and place it just inside there. Okay, so it says on start, set columns. Now, over here, we have forever, okay? Forever's an amazing block. It's a really good block, but it's not going to be important for today's activity. So I'm going to click it, drag it, and put it into our bin.
Perfect.
Right? See you forever. Hopefully we can cross paths once again someday. Okay? But we're going to be starting off with just on start set columns. Now, we have set columns just here, and I can click that. And the first one I'm going to go with is, should I do coffee or tea first?
Go coffee.
I'm going to go coffee. All right?
Because you love coffee.
I am a fiend for coffee, right? So we're going to set our first column, which is coffee. Now, we have 2 columns to decide upon, coffee versus tea. So I'm actually going to click this little plus to give me the opportunity to add another column.
Yeah, and we can pop tea in there.
All right, so let's spill the tea and pop the tea in there, okay? So that's on start.
Perfect.
Okay, so straight off the bat, you will see the second we start using the data logger category, you will see this show data simulator just at the bottom here. Now, this is where we're actually going to be able to see and track the data that's being collected in our class. But we now actually have to start collecting data, okay? So the microbit has a range of different inputs and outputs, okay?
Yeah.
Corey, what's an input?
An input is basically information that we give to the computer. So if we think about a computer ourselves, an input, it's clicking a mouse, it's putting in popping our keyboard buttons, it's putting in a USB. So when we think inputs in this sense, we can see that it's going to be a range of different things. We have buttons for microbit, we have temperature sensors. That's all information that the microbit is getting in.
100%, and that leads us nicely into looking at our microbit simulator in a little bit more depth. So over here, we have the A button, and we have a B button. And that is giving in information to our microbit, the presses on those. So we're going to be using A and B. A will be coffee, and B will be tea, okay? You've already seen my bias there. So we're going to be using A for coffee, B for tea, and they're inputs. So if we want to look for blocks that relate to A being pressed and B being pressed, we're going to go to the input category. Okay? I'm going to drag out on button A pressed. I'm going to place it just there. Now, when I want A button being pressed, I want it to actually track that data.
Okay.
Right? So we go back into our data logger. All right? Nice and simple. And we're going to say log data. Column value. And I'm going to drag this out. I'm going to place it just there. Okay? And zoom out a small bit so you guys can see all of that. Now, what column do you think we're going to be logging the data in?
Coffee.
Coffee, exactly, right? So I'm going to type in, oh, it even gives me a drop down.
Oh, that's really handy.
Coffee. Really handy, okay? Now, I press A
Yeah.
when somebody says, oh, I prefer coffee.
Yeah.
Now, that's just one person saying it. So what should my value be here?
Like 1, is it?
I think it's just 1. Yeah, exactly. Okay? Now, when I go over here, I can refresh. And what's really important about code, folks, is constantly testing.
Yeah,
right?
so important.
Let's test out what we've just done, okay? When I press A, nothing's really happening to our eyes. Let's jump over to our show data simulator. As you can see, Corey, we're tracking our coffee votes already.
So cool.
Really cool, right? Really interesting. Now, we actually want to give a little bit of an output, right? A visual output straight away to showcase that we have tracked a vote for coffee.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to use a basic block, show LEDs, drag this out, okay? Place it just there. And I'm going to just draw a C. Now, this show LEDs block, really cool. It's a 5x5 grid, right? So 5 blocks wide, 5 blocks high. What do you think it represents, Corey?
It represents the lights on the microbit, I think.
Exactly. So our microbit has an output of 25 LED lights on our microbit face, light emitting diodes. That's always a fun fact. I always like talking over LEDs and giving a breakdown of what it means. So what this means, Corey, now, is when I press A, it shows me C.
Cool.
So I know, okay, I've collected that vote, and I can now jump over to show data, and it's also shown that I've collected that C.
That's
okay?
so cool.
Really cool. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to really quickly
Yep.
duplicate that, all right, before we give you the opportunity to catch up with us, folks, or you can follow along with us, and we're going to do that for B and T. B and T, does that rhyme? No, not really. Okay, so I'm going to drag out on button A pressed again, and Corey, you might be saying, why is it gone all yellow and grey again?
Yeah, because we've already brought out button A, so now we need to bring out button B.
Microbit's like, you're sending me mixed signals.
Yeah.
Right? Do you want me to track data for coffee when you press A, or do you want me to do something else pressing A? So we use a little drop-down arrow to turn it to B, brings it back to life,
Yeah.
and we're going to do exactly what we did for coffee. Data logger, okay?
Yeah.
Log data, right? Zoom over a small bit here.
Yeah.
Use our little drop-down to bring it to T. We only doing 1.
1.
because we're not giving any more to tea.
No.
Right? It's a fair vote.
We're not
okay?
biased there.
And then we also are going to do our show LEDs.
Yeah.
We're going to do a little tea.
Yeah.
Just like that. Okay? So what we're going to do, folks, is we're going to give you the opportunity to catch up with us now. Just a few moments,
Yeah.
just to pause, catch up with the code you see on your screen. I'm actually going to go full screen with my code, zoom right in. And just to catch you up on how we've done that, we've went into the extensions, we've pulled out data logger.
Yeah.
It's created a brand new category for us. We've then used onStart to set our columns to coffee and tea. But remember, you customize it. Include your daily classroom decision that you talked about earlier on. You're then going to use two input blocks, which is on button A pressed and on button B pressed, to track the data stored in each one of those columns. At any point, if you want to ask us questions, you can use the Q&A.
Do.
Or use hashtag MSStreamSpace. We're keeping an eye on that as well. We're going to pause and give you the opportunity now to catch up with our code. Okay, fantastic, folks. So hopefully you've caught up with our code. If you haven't, don't worry. All of our code can be pulled up at any time by going to aka.ms/classvote.
Yeah, and that's in the Q&A as well now for any teachers that want to see the whole code.
And it'll be in the description of this video as well on demand. So, Corey, do you want to move on to our next piece? All right, so right now, let's take a quick check-in and let's test what we have so far. So right now, if I go over to show data on our simulator, okay?
Yeah.
When I press A, it tracks coffee. When I press B, it tracks tea.
Cool.
Now, really interesting, okay? Over here, Corey, we're tracking time as well.
Okay.
Now, I don't think we really need time.
No, we don't need time. We just want to see who clicked what.
Exactly, yeah, right. We're just looking for the sum total here.
Yeah.
So what we can actually do is at the very start, we can actually say to our MakeCode, hey, MakeCode, you actually don't need to track the time. So we do that by going over to data logger.
You can see that we're actually, after being using this data logger quite a bit, haven't we?
Yeah, 100%. So again, you're getting that data logger from our extensions category. So it says set timestamp, right? Because we were tracking time. We can actually drag that over and actually place it in on start, right? And that means when we test it out now, I press A, B.
Oh, cool.
We're just tracking our data.
Yeah, very good.
Because we're not tracking how fast we can collect coffee and tea votes, okay?
Might be useful for something else, but not for
Yeah,
this.
exactly, right? 100%. Now, we mentioned earlier on, Corey, the second core concept of today's project was data. The second one was?
Variables.
So, do you want to give a brief reminder of what variables is?
Yeah, so variables is basically a container, so like an empty container. And what we do is we take our information, our data, and we put it in that container, and then it holds it there.
Exactly, right? So, we're actually going to head on over to the variables category right now. Now, Corey, you're probably looking at this, and I'm sure a lot of people are looking at this, saying, variables, that looks a little bit weird, right?
Yeah.
Where's all the blocks?
Exactly, because we're used to clicking on these categories and loads of blocks coming up.
So we actually have to make our very own variables already, all right? So we have to make variables, and we have to make how many variables, Corey?
2, 1 for coffee, 1 for tea.
Exactly. Because what we're going to do, folks, is we're actually going to track each of the votes in those variables. So picture a coffee box, and we put little ballots inside this one. And then we have a tea box, and we put ballots in that one. Okay, that's our variable. I like that we both do
like
So our first variable, I'm going to call it coffee. Exactly. And then I press OK. Now, you can see, Corey, we have 3 blocks.
Yeah.
Set coffee to 0, change coffee by 1, and then just a roundy cough block. All right? Or coffee block even. Not a cough.
Cough.
We're not...
No, we don't want to cough.
So what we're going to do is we want the coffee variable to change by 1 every time we get a vote for coffee.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So the block we're going to have is change coffee by 1. I'm going to drag that out. And where do you think I'm going to place it? Am I going to place it on start, on button A pressed, or on button B pressed?
We're going to do it on button A pressed, because on button A pressed we have our C for coffee, we're logging it, and then we want to count it. We want to change it by 1 to say one person has voted, one person has voted.
Yeah, 100%. So again, just a reminder where we're at so far. We've created our coffee variable, okay? We've named it ourselves, and we've then dragged out change coffee by 1 and placed it inside on button A.
Exactly.
Now, we've done it for coffee, and I can't have my bias for coffee showing.
No.
We also have to do it for
We
tea.
have to do it for tea, yeah.
So let's head on over to variables.
Yeah.
Click make a variable,
Make a variable.
and I'm going to call it tea.
Tea.
Okay? And then A-OK, just like that. Now, we have blocks that says set T to 0, change T by 1, coffee, and now we have a roundy T block. And you'll see now as well, we have drop-down arrows for these because if we wanted to use coffee again.
Exactly, we can have a choice. We can click between them.
So I'm going to drag out change T by 1, place it underneath my on button B press, because that's where we're collecting
Brilliant.
tea. Okay. And now, Corey, I think it's about time for another pause.
Yep.
Right?
I think so.
So I'm going to place all of my code just here. Make sure everybody can see it all just on one screen, nice and zoomed in. Okay. On start, on A button pressed and on B button pressed. We can head on over to our data simulator and test it out again. So 1 coffee, 1 tea. Okay? And so on.
Yeah.
So we're going to pause now, folks, and give you the opportunity to catch up with the code you see on your screen.
And just a reminder as well, because I see this a lot of times in the classrooms when we're teaching this, when we go into variables, like you said, it should be empty at the start.
Yeah.
You have to make the variable.
Exactly.
You have to make coffee and you have to make tea.
This
Just
is
a reminder.
Big option, make a variable. Okay, so let us know how you're getting on the Q&A, or use hashtag MSDreamSpace to share your thoughts on how you're getting on. Okay, folks, welcome back. Corey, you ready to move into our final section of our coding concept?
I am.
Before we wrap up and kind of finalize our class solution architects project.
Yeah.
So we looked at data. Right, we've covered our first concept.
We did.
We've tracking our data. We've looked at variables because
Yeah.
we're storing our numbers and each vote in our variables. Our last thing we looked at and mentioned earlier on, Corey, was conditionals. Do you want to give us a quick reminder of what conditionals
Yeah.
are?
So conditionals are basically the way the computer makes a decision.
Yeah, exactly, right? So we do it all the time, all right? If, then, else.
Yeah.
If it's raining, then I'll wear a rain jacket. Else, if it's cold, I'll wear a hoodie.
Yeah.
Else, I'm going to wear a t-shirt, right? More often than not, okay? So what I'm going to do now is we're going to create another input that will actually tell you what won in your voting system.
Oh,
okay?
cool, okay.
So whether it's coffee that won, whether it's tea that's won,
Yeah.
or if it's a tie.
Okay.
So conditionals are how your computer actually makes decisions, and it's all logic, right? So what we're going to be looking at, Corey, is the logic category for
Very
this.
good.
Okay. So I'm actually just going to clean up my workspace a small bit. Just place this on button B over here. I'm going to be working just down here. Okay. So logic. Our first thing in our logic category is conditional statements.
Yeah.
We have if true then and if true then else. Okay. We're actually going to drag out this first if true.
Okay.
Drag this out, and I'm going to place it just there. Now, Corey, it's gone all yellow and gray again.
Yeah.
Right? It's because there's no event block for when to run this
Yeah,
condition.
there's no
right?
C-shaped block.
So we need to actually tell our microbit, oh, I want the answer to my vote, right? Give me the answers. So we need another event or another C-shaped block, okay? And we can use any of them we find in an input. So we could actually use on button A plus B.
Yeah.
Or what we're going to be using in this instance is on shake.
Very
I believe
good.
I even used on logo pressed for our sample code as well that we've shared. So whenever I press on shake, it will tell me, or actually run through our conditional statements to see if coffee won or if tea won.
Yeah.
Right? So how many conditions do we have, Corey, for this vote? We have if coffee won,
Yeah.
if tea won, or if it's a draw.
Oh yeah, very good. And
So-
I've thought about a draw actually.
Right now, we only have one slot.
Yeah.
So what do you think we have to press?
I think we need to press that plus button.
How many
because
times?
there's 2 more options, so press the plus button twice.
So 1,
Yeah.
2.
So
Okay.
our code should have an if, an else if, and an else.
Exactly. So on shake, if true then, else if then, else.
Yeah.
Now, if true, right? That doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for this.
No.
And folks, if this is your first time doing block-based coding, you should be able to read it, and it should make some sense for you.
Yeah.
Right? It should be logical. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to find another block to slot in there.
Yeah.
And this time, it's going to be logic.
Logic again. Yeah.
Exactly. So we have a diamond-looking block just here.
Yeah.
So this diamond-looking block can actually fit into that slot, Corey.
Yeah, and that's what's so important as well. That's what I like about microbit. It's that the shapes can be the same as well.
100%. So let's review so far. On shake, if 0 equals to 0, then else if, else.
Yeah.
Now, if 0 equals to 0, something happens. That's not really the condition we're looking for.
No.
What we're saying is if the votes for coffee
Yeah.
is more than tea,
Yeah.
say coffee is 1.
Yeah.
Else if the votes for tea is more than coffee,
Yeah.
tea is 1.
Okay.
Else if they're equal, it's tie.
Tie.
Right? We're going to have to make a coffee tea. Or a toffee, but that's already a different thing. Okay? So we need to find blocks that fits into our 2 roundy shapes here, Corey. Can you remember any roundy blocks that could relate to coffee and tea?
Yes, in our variables.
Exactly. So from earlier on, we had our variables coffee, and we mentioned when we create a variable, it creates roundy blocks for the variables that we created.
Yeah.
So we have a coffee and we have a tea. The first one we're looking at, Corey, is if coffee is greater than tea,
Perfect.
which it is, but in this case, right? So I'm going to drag out coffee. I'm going to place it into our first 0
Yeah.
slot. And see that little connector, Corey? Right?
Yeah, so important.
Slots in there, just like that.
Exactly.
Now, the next one we want to say is we want to have that second 0 be tea.
Yeah.
Drag out tea and place it just there.
Perfect.
Now it says if coffee is equal to tea, then. Are we happy with that?
No, because we want it to be if coffee is greater than tea.
And we're going to use our drop-down arrow, which in MakeCode
Yeah.
is our go-to solution. Okay? So we're going to have our crocodile mouths, or facing towards coffee. All right? So we're going to say if coffee is greater than tea,
Yeah.
then
Coffee wins.
coffee wins. And let's do a basic block.
Yeah, let's go to basic.
Basic block. And we use show string.
Show string, yeah, that's
Paste it
basically.
just in there.
Yeah.
And what's a string, Corey? As I'm typing
String is
this in?
basically a word. It's alphanumeric, which means it has letters, it has numbers, it can have characters. It's basically a fancy word for a word.
Exactly, 100%. Now, that's our first condition.
Okay, so if coffee greater than tea, then coffee wins.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, our next time, we want to say if tea is greater than coffee.
Yes.
Makes sense. And we do that whole process again.
Yeah.
So this is a great reminder if you're still
Exactly.
catching up. Go into logic.
Logic, get your diamond shape, 0 equals 0, put it into the diamond shape. And at this time, we need those two variables again. We need coffee and we need tea, but this time it's going to be
tea first.
Yeah,
And then our next one is
coffee, and then it's going to be greater than.
exactly, right? So our crocodile mouth facing that way as well. So our operators, okay? And we're going to use a show string again.
Yeah, and this
It's
time we'll
just
just say tea wins.
Tea wins. Tea for the win even.
Yeah.
Okay, just like that. Now, Corey, our last one says else. And there's no slot to say if coffee
Yeah.
is equal to tea or if tea is equal to coffee. Why is that?
Because it's the last option available.
Yeah.
Coffee greater than tea, tea greater than coffee. There's nothing else, so that goes into else. It's
Exactly.
anything outside of those two options.
So our computers, much like us, read from top to bottom. And the sequence of our code checks if coffee is greater, checks if tea is greater. And if neither of those conditions
Yeah.
are right, it's going to move on to a
Else.
else. So I can just drag in a little show string, the type.
Yeah.
Type. Okay, just like that. Now, Corey, like all good software engineers,
Yeah.
we have to test our code.
Okay.
I have all of our code just there. Okay, I'm going to go over to our show data simulator. Check it out. Show data simulator. And when I press A, tracks the coffee.
Yeah.
When I press B, tracks the tea.
Yeah.
And I heard someone, we chatted to Minnie. I think she said tea was actually better.
Oh yeah, she loves tea.
So we track another vote for Minnie.
Yeah.
All right. Now I want to see, very obvious from this point, but if I'm collecting data from an entire class,
Exactly.
all right? If I want to see who won, what do I press?
Well, our input was on shake. So we can see up on our microbit here, we have a shake button. So we press the shake button.
Make sure no one's picking up their computers.
Yeah,
and shaking.
people always pick up their computers and their laptops. No, you press the shake button.
So it says T for the win.
Brilliant.
I think it's really okay. I secede to the vote. Right, it's data driven. We've decided the T is better.
Yeah.
All right. I'll get you on the next vote. So that's your entire code, folks. All right. I'm going to place it just there, full screen. Make sure everyone can see it. We covered quite a lot there.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is just before we say goodbye and wrap up, we're going to pause for 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Have a look at that code, and if you're having issues, check
Let
out our
us know.
Q&A,
Yeah.
right? Our Q&A, ask us those questions.
Yeah.
Or
Definitely.
head on over to hashtag MSDreamspace and ask us those questions there.
Yeah.
Or you can go to ak.ms/classvote
Yeah.
to see all of our code again after today's event.
Exactly.
So I'm going to pause now, give you that opportunity before we wrap up and say goodbye. Okay, folks, so that brings us to the end of our coding task for today. We've become class solution architects, and what we want you to take away from today's event is to hold your very own class vote.
Yeah.
Right? So we decided coffee and tea. Hopefully no one is drinking too much coffee in the classes joining us, but hold your own vote, whether it's playing Gaelic or basketball for
Yeah.
PE, what you're watching at lunchtime, right?
Yeah.
If
No
it's raining
homework
outside.
or class rewards.
There's so much you can do. And we really want to hear from you and see how you got on with those class votes using the coded project that you yourself created. You became a software engineer. Use hashtag MSDreamspaceTeachers to share that with us. So there's so much more as well you can take part in for Engineers Week 2024. Use hashtag Steps Engineers Week to share your work, and actually head on over to the Engineers Ireland. I think it's engineersireland.ie/Engineers Week.
Very good.
There's so much more resources, so much cool stuff, and today is just the beginning of it. Okay, so from us all here in Dream Space, thank you so much for joining us. Did you have fun, Corey?
Oh, I had so much fun. I actually love the data logger. I don't use it enough in Microbit.
Cool concept, right? So maybe people who've looked at coding before or MakeCode before Microbit might be brand new to. Anyone who's just started off their coding journeys, hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully you can actually apply that coding project to your day-to-day classroom decisions. So from all us here in Dream Space, thank you so much. Be sure to stick around and see how you can actually keep track and up to date with all things Microsoft Ireland Dream Space. From me, I've been Michael.
I've been Corey.
And we'll catch you in the next Dream Space Live, folks. Bye.
Bye.